I'd like to call the February 6th, 2019 Lopatcong Township Council meeting to order. I would ask everyone to bow their heads for a moment of silence, keeping former Mayor Bill Baker in your prayers. He's not doing very well, so I would ask that you keep him in your prayers. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Gazette and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Roll call, please, Beth.
Councilman Belcaro.
Here.
Councilman Polito.
Here.
Councilman Wright. Council President Pryor.
Here.
Mayor Mengucci.
Here. Need a motion to come out of executive session?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Council was in executives for approximately an hour. The topics of discussion are as listed on your agenda with the exception of number 2, contractual PBA. The council will go back into executive session at the end of the meeting and they will discuss number 1, contractual EMS, and number 2, contractual PBA. There's also 3 items from executive session that need action, and we can do those now or we can hold them and do them later in the meeting. Okay.
All right. Do we have any public comment on agenda items only? John?
Just, and number 3, ordinance 19-03. Either tonight or during the second reading, could somebody please explain what actually is for the proposals for the cap bank for calendar year 2019?
I can give you a copy, John.
Okay, thanks. Do you have it tonight or?
I do.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move into old business. Yes.
Lori Tesla, 12 Meadowview Drive. On your consent agenda, number 10, is that what I think it is?
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay, so you're going to be setting up a recreation trust so we'll be able to deposit all our money in there, and then I guess when you do the budget, you'll take the money that you're assigning us from the budget and move it into the trust fund, I'm guessing?
Well, I don't know that part.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay.
And I think it's RIDER, isn't it? It says rider, I mean RY, I think it's RI.
Oh, I
Rider.
don't know.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Seeing none under old business, ordinance number 2019-01 is the second reading of public hearing to amend, revise, and supplement chapter entitled Towing to update rates for services provided. Have a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Folks, questions, comments? Seeing none, motion to close?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion to pass.
I will make the motion to pass ordinance 2019-01.
Have a second?
Second.
And we'll roll call that. Councilman Belcaro.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Mayor Mengucci.
Yes. And number 2, we are tabling, correct?
Correct.
All right.
You need a motion to table that?
Yes.
All right.
I'll make a motion to table.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, our new business, neighborhood block parties. Who wants to explain that one?
I'll talk. Is there anybody here from Jade Avenue tonight? No? Jade Avenue made a request to have a block party. And Beth did some research and I did some research as well. Most towns handle this by ordinance. We don't have an ordinance. The ordinances vary. I'd like to allow this. I'd like to vote to allow it tonight as a pilot program and handle the approval administratively. The police chief has to be involved. He has to peek at traffic and public works. They want to shut the street. We got to see, what they're going to do. Insurance is always an issue. this is going to be, 30 people getting together. They're going to ask for a waiver for insurance. Most ordinances allow that. I think we should do that here. I looked at one ordinance. I thought it was pretty good. They really needed everybody to sign off on it. You don't want to shut the street if half the people object, and you want to make sure everybody's invited, it's inclusive. So I think working with the chief and Beth, and we can put an administrative checklist together. We'll work with the people from Jade. Try it as a pilot, and if it works, we'll know what we did right, what we did wrong, and we can look to codify the thing in the future.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Well, yeah, fair enough. Throw it over. Mr. Chief, you have any input at this point?
I can speak to it a little bit.
Sure.
And I know it's just being brought up now, so there's a lot of thought that has to go into it, but some of the things or concerns that we would have from a law enforcement perspective is, the emergency access and what exactly would be going into the streets. And, I guess there more or less has to be a systematic approach as far as, what's going to be allowed and what's not going to be allowed, times and access. And to those neighbors, maybe if there's one or two that are opposed to this, where do we draw the line as far
Well, I think if that happens, then we have to explore it at that time. It's kind of interesting, the ordinances, you can't have it on a street that's more than 25 miles an hour, you can't have it on a county road, you can't have it if there's no, if it interferes with emergency vehicles, that has to be open. All other ordinances remain in place, so alcohol, dogs running loose, all those still
the law and ordinances can't be over?
I mean, basically, they shut the street, they, have some street games and party, and I think if it's done right, it's a good thing.
I personally think it's a great community.
Yeah, I like the idea. It's just obviously we have to do some, everything being so litigious and everything else. Make sure all right.
They would be just my concerns off the cuff.
Hey, you'll be in the loop.
Okay. Thank you.
Need a motion to authorize it? Need a motion to authorize? Motion. Second? Second.
Okay, roll call vote. Councilman Valcarro?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Breyer?
Yes.
Mayor Nannucci?
Yes. Number 2 is approve a sewer connection request for the First Baptist Church of Phillipsburg. We do have a representative here from the church. Would like to speak to it. Anybody has any objections? If not?
Yeah, I don't have any objections to it. It's a very small amount of wastewater to be discharged to our system. The one thing I would say is there appears to be a sewer lateral on church property already, and it would be my suggestion that the lateral connect into that lateral from the office rather than going directly out to the street into an area that was just paved by us to avoid an opening. If the council's in agreement with that, I'm going to have to work with Van Cleve to get some amendments to the plan here. That's just my suggestion to avoid disturbances to the street improvements that we just did.
My only concern, I don't know how old that lateral is. I hate to connect to something that was clay and cracked and whatever.
And we get a test pit done just to look at it.
My name is Doug Mace. I'm representing, most of you know, I'm a retired engineer, and I'm representing the church. I also am the current business administrator, I guess I'll call myself. We don't have a problem with doing that, if that's what you want to do. It was our original plan, and Van Cleef had some concerns about if we would need a permit to do that, TWA. So if that can be worked out, we certainly have no problem with that. We did this because it looked like it was the simplest way to go.
I can't speak professionally anymore.
That's right.
As I recall, this would not need a TWA, but we can look at that.
Okay. And answer your question, that sewer lateral and that sewer line, we built that sewer line from Charles, the intersection of Charles and Red School, that one lot deep, up Red School, and the lateral, it was built, we occupied the building in 72, so it was built in 72.
Does that go through another property?
No, no, it's all ours.
Yeah.
So, it's based on both recommendations?
Yeah, if council's all right with the connection, it would be subject to working out the engineering details with the church and its consulting engineer.
All right. Motion?
Second.
Yes, on that, Councilman Beltrán.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Mayor Lucia.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 3, ordinance number 19-03, first reading to establish a cap bank for the calendar year 2019. Motion? Second?
I'll second that.
Councilman Beltrán.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Yes. The consent agenda, is there anyone up here who wants anything pulled out of the consent agenda?
Well, I thought I had a question. We have a contract from Easton Municipal Band for music at the park. It's a community band, I understand it's 40 members. I haven't heard them, I've heard a lot about them. They sent a contract, very simple contract, that's what you're approving tonight. It's only $150. The question came up, whether they need insurance or whether they have insurance. We don't know, we're not sure. Lori?
I'm not sure if most of the bands have it. I was gonna say, if they don't have it, none of the other bands will have it.
Well, I mean, obviously, the gal that plays for $200 and strums a guitar, she does not have insurance. A lot of our acts here don't have it. As you know, it's all a question of risk sharing. I don't, unless somebody gets hit by a tuba, I can't. So, my feeling is if they have it, we'll have a certificate. If they don't have it, we waive it.
Yeah, and what we could do in lieu of that, you can have them sign like a full arm list, kind of like we have in your facilities use form, just to, they'll indemnify you if, they plug in their own sound system and electrocute themselves.
And I'd like the indemnification to be narrow, something that they
Or
cause,
something
not,
simple, yeah.
not what.
Right, they knock their speaker over, it hits someone in the
Yeah.
audience, they sue the town, they'll cover us.
So I'd like to, in the consent agenda, I'd like to prove it subject to that.
Okay. Anybody else? Need a motion on the consent agenda?
Motion.
Do I have a second? Second.
Councilman Beltrán.
Yes.
Councilman Polito.
Yes.
Council President Pryor.
Yes.
Mayor Lucia.
Yes, up there, the announcements, Joe?
No, I don't.
Council reports, Mr. Polito.
Thank you. EDAC, we're looking to have a meeting this Monday, February 11th, 7 o'clock here in the municipal building. And also with LAA, recent council meeting, some concerns have been presented regarding transparency of finances and bylaws. At the last LAA meeting, those issues were addressed. The LAA will be providing quarterly financial reports, and the bylaws will be available on the website. That's it.
Mr. O'Hara. Do we put this one?
I have two things. The one's not really mine. Councilman Wright isn't here. Rollingport. Anybody here from Rollingport? You know the story about Rollingport. We took some trees down. We agreed to replace them. They actually submitted a plan. Some work went into it. As a layman, it looks good to me. I think three things have to be done. I'd like to bounce that off our tree consultant, the guy that did the forestry plan. Is he available?
Joe Bruschetta, I'll see if I can get hold of him.
It's an hour's worth of work. I want to make sure that the species they recommended and so on.
We have in our code, we do have a list of trees that are recommended.
Are they current, the trees in the code?
Well, I don't know when that was established.
Salt.
A number of
Very old,
years
right?
ago.
Yeah. Just before we invest in this, like somebody with some training to look at it, we want to get a quote on the thing so we know what it costs. And it was prepared by one individual. I think we should make sure that gets distributed among everybody on the court. I don't want to put this thing in and then have 6 people show up and say, gee, it looked good the way it was, so.
You'll share that plan with me.
Yeah, I got it in my email. I can't be going back about it. I'll get it to you.
Okay.
The other thing we did have volunteer for the Shade Tree Commission, and I would like to appoint him.
I can do that. That's what we do when you with that.
Pardon me?
Shade Tree Commission, just 1 year. Yes.
And lastly, you discussed in the executive session the addendums to the LEA contract. First, you had an amended addendum number 2, which basically just formalizes what was done last year by way of services and payment. In the copy that I gave you, there's one with number 5 changes from last meeting, but I'll get back the cleanup one. And then addendum number 3 basically takes the services from last year, moves them forward to this year, and sets a dollar amount. So if we want to approve those and then authorize me to forward them on to the LEA for their review and approval or comments.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Councilman Belcarro? Yes. Councilman Guido?
Yes.
Council President Breyer? Mayor Mckinley?
Yes.
And then finally, you wanted to award, and Joe, tell me the term, it was benefits.
Special benefits consultant.
Special benefits consultant, and it was AccuSure?
That's for sure.
Thank you. As your special benefits consultant, so similar.
For this calendar.
For this calendar.
Motion.
I'll second it.
Councilman Belcarro? Yes. Councilman Guido?
Yes.
Council President Breyer?
Yes.
Mayor Mckinley?
Yes.
All I have, thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a few things to report on tonight. Regarding Inmore Road, Oxford Road, the improvement project, that project is currently out to bid. We will be accepting and opening bids on February 21st, and I'll be able to review what those bids are, and if I have a recommendation on the award of a contract on those bids at your March 6th meeting. So I just wanted to update you on that. Secondly, regarding the Phillipsburg High School roadway improvement project closeout, the only item left on that is the approval by the county of the deeds for the right-of-way acquisition. Katrina and I are working on that and trying to finalize that item with the county engineer's office so that the deeds can be recorded, and then we're going to make a formal request for the county to accept the project, including the traffic signal. At this point, it's been quite some time since the project was completed and the signal was placed into operation, but that is our goal over the next few weeks to get this done once and for all. All work has been completed in the field. Any questions on that? Just at the next meeting, there'll be some agreements and approvals on Berry Plastics, including a bond release that I'll have a report on, and Katrina will have an agreement having to do with the sewer for that particular project. And Bellevue Crossing, there's been a request for a bond release on that, and I'll have a report for that for March 6th as well. And then lastly, just now that I'm back from vacation, I'll be setting up all these sidewalk meetings on our 2 sidewalk projects. There'll be multiple meetings set up by me before the end of the week, so we can have these meetings this month and move forward with these projects. No.
I saw something on study. Another up the hill. What's up with that?
Oh, you approved tonight the consent agenda, a resolution and an agreement to allow for the flashing school speed limit signs on Belvedere Road, which will pave the way for the county to approve our study to lower the speed limits and establish a school zone with a further reduction in the speed limit during certain school hours. I'm hoping that the county, we should be able to sign the resolution and the agreement tonight and get back to them so that the freeholders can approve that themselves this month. I'm hoping, so that should be really the goal, is to get that paperwork out before the end of the week back to the county.
Okay, so for you, school board members, have you asked about that? It's in the queue.
Mr. Mayor, one other item, just on Baltimore Street, the plans are done. We're about to go into the DOT. After I get any comments back from the DOT, we will advertise that project for a bid as well.
We've heard nothing more application for that school yet.
Nothing yet. April 1st, that's what I'm hearing.
it sounded like you were saying LEA, I heard it twice.
No, LEA.
Sorry.
I saw LEA on there, so to clarify that. The other thing, how's the forensic audit coming? The reason I'm asking is, you know, I was way back in June, we were in arrears, and we brought in all kinds of documentation, and then we got another notice in January that we were still, and then I know
So I'll address that in case there's anyone else who's in the same boat. Because I know we fixed yours. When I say fixed, the council approved a resolution to correct your account. Unfortunately, there's a backlog in the tax collector's office to process all of that. And she sent out delinquent notices, just thinking it would help people. Failed to pull out people like you who she is authorized to correct, just hasn't gotten there yet. But we have gotten some assistance from the DCA to come in and help her in the office, and we're hoping that that will work. But I remember your score, in fact, and I know we did the resolution. So it's just a matter of, so you can disregard the delinquency, you should not.
okay, I wish we appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I got a lot of frantic phone calls from people who should have been pulled out, and the resolution.
So ours is settled, we get ours
You know what,
settled.
we can, I'll send back a copy, she can send it to you, a copy of your resolution, so
Okay,
you can
great.
see it. That way you know what we're correcting.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Okay, sure. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Really? Mr. Sampson?
Okay, so we had the LAA meeting, I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago. We had some issues there that we talked about, and so, we loaded the room, and, we just want to know what you're going to do.
I think Mr. Polito mentioned earlier that we are going to get reports, financial reports, 4 times a year. And what was the bylaws? And the bylaws will be amended. So, that's really what we can do at this point.
And that's it. It doesn't matter, like about all the stuff that, we talked about and everything. I mean,
They're separate from us. So, I mean, I'm getting the impression that short of us stepping in and removing some people, that's really what you want. Let's just cut to the chase.
well, we want the parents to be able to decide what happens within the organization. And, the way that it's structured right now, that'll never happen. I mean, the bottom line of what I'm hanging my hat on is that they broke the law with the raffle. And so if you're going to tell me that that's okay for that organization to handle themselves that way, I mean, that's not right. These kids, it starts, you have the coaches, and then they have to mentor the kids, but it's the whole organization, Mr. Mayor. It's not just the coaches. It's, you have to lead from example from the top to the bottom. And so, that's a pretty serious issue.
So again, back to my comment of short of us removing someone, or looking to remove someone, you personally, or maybe a bunch of you, aren't going to be happy. That's really what I see this boiling down to. I mean, let's just cut to the chase. Let's be your own individuals about it.
That's it.
It's personalities. It's not about the kids, it's about personalities. The kids are involved because it's about the personalities. As I said to you before, I've been through this, and you mentioned it right on the tape,
Sure.
about it being daddy ball.
Yeah.
Okay? That has been going on forever. And you know what? We could put a whole new regime in there, and there are going to be people going to come, it's people's hot button, is their kids. I went through it with my own kids, I'm sure you're going through it with yours. I get it, but they are separate from us. So, I don't know what to tell you, how to infiltrate it. We found out there was a problem, we acted on it by getting quarterly reports. As what we get before, too? A year in report, so, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. At this point, I don't know what what we can legally do, if anything. I mean, we've been through this. You brought us a problem, we acted on it fairly quickly, as far as I'm concerned. But it boils down, like it always boils down to, it boils down to personalities. It's been that way forever. That doesn't make it right. I'm just telling you, that's what I'm seeing. It boils down to personalities.
Okay. So that's it. We're not going to do anything.
I think they told you that legally all we can do is make sure that they've got bylaws, that they're sending us their financials, that they're a valid 501c3. So we can't, I know that what you want is for us to step in and say, the parents get to vote and they get to pick who's in charge. We have zero authority to do that. And I can tell you, even if the township took the back under our wing, that's not how the township operates either. The parents don't get to
understand that, but we're like the only, organization in this area that, that is run like that. I mean, typically, all the other organizations that, the parents are allowed to have a say. I mean, right now, there's a big black cloud over, unfortunately, and, we're losing people, and you heard, Mrs. Kish, nobody really wants to volunteer because of what's going on.
Right.
But no, hey, I understand what you're saying. If you can't do anything, you can't do anything.
No, maybe I can reinforce that. We really can't even do some of the things that maybe Katrina said. What that does is it voids our contract with them. We can't force them to do anything. If they fail if they cease to be a 501c3, they fail to have insurance, they fail to provide us with financials, it voids our contract with them. But we can't step in there and correct it. They are an independent 501c3 organization.
Yeah, but didn't they break the contract when they had a lapse in the insurance? I mean, you were there at that meeting when
Not
they...
gonna lapse in their insurance. We were provided a certificate of insurance the day we got rid of them because we timed it, so we wouldn't have.
You were at the meeting, right, where they blamed the township and everything?
Yes, I was there.
And they ran out of insurance?
I'll stand there and I'll say this. Kenny did not have all the facts. He was talking that day. We took care. And it's a problem when somebody gets up and speaks without having the facts and tries to blame somebody. The other thing is, it was the startup of a new organization. You're gonna have glitches and you're gonna get past stuff like that. And I think we did. They have a contract. We gave them the funds we were managing for them. We gave them equipment. We gave them access to the fields. And they have to do very basic things to keep that contract enforced. And that's where our authority ends.
Well, that was the other thing. They missed a lot of the stuff that was on the contract.
I
They
can
didn't...
add to that also, what our contract says is just because they missed something, I caught them, they did something wrong, we have to give them an opportunity to bring it to their attention that they did something wrong, but to give them an opportunity to restore the problem. So it's not, oh, you made a mistake, you're done. We have to give them an opportunity. So, anything that we would have seen that we thought was a problem, brought it to their attention, but they provided their financials, they provided their bylaws, and now they've agreed to provide them quarterly, which we have now included in that addendum that you approved earlier. So they agreed to it, and now we're going to hold it to them, because we're going to tie it to the money they provide to them.
So who's gonna look at the financial statement? Or are they just because it seemed like there was confusion last time about who was...
Can have a better understanding of it than any of us sitting up here, but us.
Who? Okay. All right, thank you very much.
I heard you made an appointment to the Red Lobby Board.
Yes.
Committee tonight.
Yes.
Will there be, are you looking forward to having 3 members on that Red Lobby Board
Yes.
committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Sir, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening. Right, yes. Thank you.
The reason why I'm coming up, and again, I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with the shade tree, but, to reiterate what Mr. Sampson said in regards to that, I understand council's position. I truly do. And moving forward from, what had transpired that day, I'd like to say any reasonable person can say that there's an issue. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. I think holding people accountable moving forward from here is something that, has to be really looked at, because at the end of the day, they carry the Lopat name. And that will carry when everybody's sitting up here as well, whether they're separated from the town or not. It's just the way it is. So I think moving forward with that, I just hope that council and attorney does due diligence in regards to keeping an eye on things. I do want to say, going back to other way around it. I sit back, I watch, and, you know, if people can't get along, then, you know, we can't let things fall apart.
No, and trust me, last year when the fields weren't being lined, we did step in. Right. We got a hold of Brian and said, hey, Brian, you gotta go do this, because you know what? One of the things I believe, these gentlemen, I don't want to riot up here, because we're letting our kids down. I'm not gonna let.
I agree 100%.
So, it's a double-edged sword, it truly is. My kid, I had kids here, I grew up here, trust me when I tell you, I get where you're coming from, but we don't have any jurisdiction over it at this point.
I'm not saying that, Mr. Mayor. I'm just saying with what you guys do have in your contractual agreement with the LA, I think, you know, tighten down on those certain aspects of what is there and with what you do have, because I feel as a township, we offer, and we should have to offer our children a good athletic program. And unfortunately, when it gets bad, other people suffer.
I think they've been put on notice. They have a new treasurer now who's gonna get it to us. And quite frankly, I'm not picking on Matt. He's got no skin in the game. He's got no children.
No, absolutely.
He's gonna look at it objectively.
His background speaks for himself.
Yep. And I don't see him as being a puppet for anybody. I see him as giving us a fair. This kid's been hanging around. This is much younger than I am. He's been hanging around in meetings here for a while now. So he sees what's going on not only with your organization, but school board. So it's a guy who's definitely vested in the town.
Listen, I've heard his background. You know, there's some things you just can't take away from the person. And that's one of them. So I'm just saying, in retrospect, for the future for the children, I think we need to keep those close.
I think for the most part, that meeting was very civil, maybe with the exception of myself, because when somebody gets up and says but I don't care, yeah, I got a problem with that. People call me a lot of things, don't tell me I don't care. I'm gonna be up here for as long.
But, and I agree with the attorney that, you know, if somebody says, you know, hey, you did something wrong, you're done. You know, I agree of first chance, second chance, you know, what is it? Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. You know, I think now is where we gotta start that timeline. Listen, there was an issue, we saw it, and again, a reasonable person would see that there was an issue. I mean, you can't deny facts on paper. I mean, that's what I've seen.
And you've been put on notice, let's see how it goes. You know, we had an issue here, obviously with our tax collector last year, that's old news. That was for internally, because people were watching, I didn't catch it, I mean, here flooded, but I see it all the time, step in and flood, so, we're looking. And now they know we're looking, so, let's see if it straightens up.
I agree.
Now, I wasn't at the meeting, but I gather, hopefully, everybody walks away that, they got time to discuss the issues, both sides, and hopefully, moving forward, maybe something will change, maybe a chance. And as far as personality-wise, we have a few people may not like the person for whatever reason, and then it's the flip side of that, you have a bunch of people that do like the person. I mean, I know
And to be professional, I don't think it's whether you like or dislike somebody, I think it's what's your common goal.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it should start structuring itself, but that's for an LA.
Well, moving forward, see what happens, see how, business is conducted moving forward.
Thank you. I do want to thanks for your volunteering. We have some training in store for you. Oh, yeah. And we look forward to your effort. Absolutely. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Seeing none? Whoop. What are you gonna get your hand up with?
Start with the easy first stuff. Recreation. So, it's February, but I'm gonna bring this up now, the fireworks. So I know we've
Joe's favorite subject.
Joe's favorite subject. So obviously they are well loved. We previously had a mayor who paid for them himself. It's a costly thing, you know, he's very generous. We can't do that. In the last 2 years, we were able to fundraise for it. times it was an excruciating effort on my part to try to get this money in, and I know last year was very painful. So I'm thinking if we start now, and learning from the lessons of the last couple of years, I'd kind of like to, and of course I have to do this with your permission, is if we send out, instead of sending out like, for the Easter egg hunt, we can ask people for candy, that's one thing. But as far as everything else, if we just kind of, I don't know how to do it that will satisfy you guys, like either asking you just to support our recreation committee in general, or to specifically ask for fireworks, because I feel, you know, that's the one item that we don't budget for. We budget for everything else, and we get some grant money, and we do other things like that. Like, so if we start now, I won't be running around like a chicken without a head in the summer.
I can only give you my opinion. You know my stance on fireworks.
Right.
So I think if there's one thing that should be funded with contributions to fireworks, I think you should focus on that.
Okay.
With respect to the sound system and that, working within our budget.
Okay.
We would like to do that.
You would like to do that, okay.
Within the constraints of our budget. We feel we owe that to the committee.
Okay.
Fireworks, I don't feel we
Right.
owe, so.
So I'll put something together and give it to Beth, and you guys can kind of see how you want to send out that notice, and then we can just ask regularly for donations.
Tomorrow afternoon with Kim, the budget.
Okay,
So-
all right. And I
Trying
don't,
to accommodate some of the other things you've been looking to do.
okay, oh, good. And when do you need the budget numbers by?
Pardon me?
When do you need the budget numbers?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Sure, no problem.
I mean, you have numbers. Absent of
Yeah, I can
request,
give
we
you-
have numbers in there.
Okay.
And,
All right, because what I could do is I'll look at what I sent you last year, and I know there might be a
it's
little.
always around the same.
Yeah,
It's been
I
around the
mean,
same thing.
Easter egg hunt, movies at the pool, those are about the same. Community day, we'll probably end
Like
up
I said,
spending the same or a
we're
little.
gonna start around 15,000.
Right,
And we're gonna try and accommodate some of these
okay,
other things you're looking to
all right.
to do.
I'll try to send you that in the morning, because I have my spreadsheet from last year. With the music in the park, so would we put together a hold harmless agreement that we could send to all of our musicians? Okay. All right. So the other stuff, okay. As far as the contract, one of the things, I know there's been a lot of stuff going around with the LAA, and I don't know how much people know how, you know, I know there's personalities, and I know the personality or personalities, it might be one or two, that are being reflected. I hope it's not me. And I don't know, or Hope, or Dave, who are also here now. And I'm sure you guys know, because you know behind the scenes how much work Hope and I do for the LAA, and we're usually the people that you're dealing with, and sitting there trying not to get upset, but there's a lot of things, like with the contract. When we knew that we weren't going to be able to do the line painting for the fall, I believe I came to an executive session in June to talk to you guys about it, and then after that sent 3 emails trying to, get the addendum done, just to prove to people in the room that we are doing what we're supposed to doing. It's just not evident, because obviously nobody's like calling me up and asking me what I'm doing, but we are, constantly, it is a big deal to us, to me particularly, to make sure that we are within our contract, that things are getting done, that the I's are being dotted and the T's are being crossed. And I really do feel, and it has been the goal from day one, to have a partnership with open communication with all you guys. Dave has been updating the website, we've been hearing complaints, and again, I have to say, like, you've been to meetings, there's usually 2 people or nobody in the audience. So to sit here and say that these things have been festering, maybe they have, but they haven't been coming to us at the meetings, and that's where we need it. The directors need to hear it. Soccer doesn't know what football's doing. They don't, they're not going to know that. So if there's issues with football, there's issues with basketball, the people have to come because the other directors don't know it. When we moved it over, we kept it as it was with the township. Now, if that ever changes down the road, that changes down the road. This is still new. We're only this is the start of our 3rd year, and it's been a work in progress, and we've constantly been going back and forth. And I know, like, the meeting was very heated, but I personally want to come here and say that, the directors put a lot of work into it. They get a lot of grief. They're sometimes coaching 1, 2, 3 teams where they don't have coaches. They're helping out. They have to deal with all the issues. And again, it's the directors that vote. So if people have complaints, they need to come, bring them to the directors, let us, give us a chance to do that. And even if it's personality issues, to quote somebody who just said this, which I think is a very brilliant saying, you can always find an objective solution to a subjective problem. And that's what we are committed to doing, and I'm telling you that, and I think from my past history that we will do as much as we possibly can. And like I said, if there's concrete issues, we want to deal with them. And you guys are always welcome to all our meetings, and anything you want, whether it looks like it's a breach of contract on your part, we're willing to work with you. And I'm very happy that Matt is now our treasurer, because that's his wheelhouse. He's going to blow them away. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
So I just want to finish. I have a little laryngitis, so you can't hear me, just throw something at me. I just want to go over a couple of items that were brought up, because I just don't want them to be unanswered. As far as background checks, we had an arrangement with the town to make sure everyone had them. Because of the issue with the tax office, that fell through. I am personally letting you know that I have taken care of all the background checks. I have chased everyone down. We have a system set up with the state, and I regularly send out notices to all the directors to make sure that I'm on top of it, and we also have a timeline set up moving forward, so we get everything ahead of time. So I just want you to know that we are addressing the background check issue. As far as the insurance, as the attorney mentioned, we have all the documentation that there was no lapse in coverage. Unfortunately, we submitted everything, and it took about a week for us to get the paperwork back. The coverage was dated for the time that we submitted it, so everything was fine. Everyone got their additional certificates of insurance, and everything was covered. So we worked very hard at that. We had some issues with trying to get better quotes, because a lot of the companies that were giving us quotes wanted to charge us to have the town on our policy and whatever. So we found the right company that did the right thing. So that's where we are with the insurance. And there was also a comment made at the meeting, was that the LAA is paying the directors. That was the only director that was paid, was worked with out with the town. That was Sean Leahy for doing the line painting. We tried to get other people to come and do it. It was way too expensive for us to cover those costs. So driver's license were sent to Beth. Everything was on top of that. And we also purchased our workers' comp, and he was paid through the town. So all of that is on board, and we have all the documentation for that. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that, like Lori said, we are really working hard to make sure that we are on top of all these things. We have a full revision of the bylaws, tightening down all these things, and making sure moving forward that we address all things. So
We certainly appreciate that, as we do. Again, it's beat the dead horse. We certainly appreciate all
I
the
just want to
volunteers,
make sure that everybody
all the
knew that.
coaches. I mean, I've been
It's
there.
more than the one person, it's the whole group.
I understand that. I've been there, done that, and
And I'm like you, and our sons are around the same age.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids in the program.
I worked a
I'm
football
doing
game
it.
last year because I said
Right.
I'll do one or two again this year. Much to the chagrin of my girlfriend, but that's okay. And she volunteered her time
Right.
2 years ago when her daughter was a cheerleader here. So we certainly, at least I'm trying to speak for the rest of the gentlemen, we understand what goes on with that organization. It's a lot of work. Sunday afternoon football is a lot of work. I helped coach soccer with Mr. Gallant back in the day, so we didn't do very well because I don't think either one of us had a soccer background. But anyway, we did our thing. So trust me when I tell you, we're committed here for the kids, as all the volunteers are and all the coaches are. I can't say it enough. What you don't know is I had some Cub Scouts in front of me tonight, which to me, somebody asked me one of the kids asked me what I like doing best, and I said this.
Yeah.
Because anytime we can get to our youth to set the example, best we can, because they're our future.
Yeah, I just came from the basketball game, and we don't have any kids on the team, and the basketball director has volunteered to coach a 4th grade girls team just because that's what he likes to do.
I'm going to tell you a real quick funny story from my time as a coach. Mr. Gallant can attest to this. We had a thing at the end of practice called Kick the Coach, and we'd just stand in the goal and let the kids just kick from every angle. Give it a hand on Brian McCluskey, who was now about 6'2", 6'3", was standing on the wrong side, and he was about this high at that time. And balls were getting by him, getting by me. I looked at him, I said, boy, you might be the world's worst goalie. He looked up at me, he says, not as long as you're standing here. And I never forgot that. He still mentions that. So those are the priceless moments with kids that you can't, yeah.
Yep, so if anybody
Can't put a dollar
needs
value on it.
anything, or you want more information, I can give you whatever I can give you, and we'll be happy to continue
We certainly
moving
appreciate
forward.
that. Thank you very much for your time, appreciate it. Anyone else? We have a need to go back into executive session, so it's kind of a polite way of saying you guys are done, you're out of here. Thank you.
I don't think we should take any action. Is that it? We're not coming? We got the opportunity.
There's nothing going on, I mean, you can take my word for it.
done? Yeah, we
Yeah.
are gonna be done. Yeah. Motion to come out of executive session?
Motion. Second.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
So be it.
Yeah.